fun to explain because it basically sums up everything that has been terrible about this election so far. So it was revealed a few days ago that Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer is technically an American citizen because his father was born in the US. And as we learned from Ted Cruz, children of Americans living in Canada are Americans too. It's in the Constitution. Now, because Canadians have all sorts of anxieties about the United States, and because conservative politicians have been pretty judgmental in the past about this idea of politicians having dual citizenship, Trudeau was able to get a few days worth of demagoguery out of this big shocker. But whoever made this meme seems to be saying that it's not such a big deal because an even bigger scandal is coming for Trudeau, the West Point Grey Academy scandal. Now, this has been one of the great non-events of the whole campaign, and I think it's kind of rooted in the blackface scandal. See, after the blackface scandal broke, the dam sort of burst regarding what people thought Trudeau was capable of, and the degree his past might be capable of sabotaging his own re-election. Justin Trudeau, the election. Justin Trudeau. People started speculating and gossiping about all sorts of crazy things from Trudeau's past that he was supposedly covering up. And eventually, the preferred conspiracy theory became that he had done something really terrible when he was briefly working as a high school teacher at the West Point Grey Academy here in Vancouver, like something with a student or something. Anyway, if you have been living in right-wing world in Canada over the last couple of weeks, chances are pretty high that someone has probably come to you with some hot gossip about how a big story is going to break any minute now about what Justin Trudeau did at West Point Grey, and it's going to make the blackface look like a church. But despite all these predictions, the story has never broke, and is probably never going to break because it probably doesn't exist. Maybe it's a Russian disinformation campaign or something, I don't know. Now, overall, I would say that Trudeau bashing memes are the most common sight in the Canadian political memosphere. This is because, as the following meme explains, left-wing Canadians and right-wing Canadians are united by a hatred of Justin Trudeau. But there are some pro-Trudeau memes as well, like this very popular one, Justin Trudeau is all of us. Or, you know what this is? Yes, it looks like a hand, only smaller. Or how about this? I actually kind of hate these ones because they're based on an entirely false premise. When Prime Minister Trudeau first met with President Trump in the Oval Office a few years ago, this scene happened. But some photographer managed to snap a picture right at this split second, and that photo went viral. When you're asked where your insurance broker license is, that's Andrew Scheer, the head of the Conservative Party. This one gets into this whole mini scandal about what exactly Andrew Scheer's job was before he got into politics. Andrew Scheer was elected to Parliament at age 25, so obviously he didn't have a particularly robust pre-political career. But apparently on forums and things, he always put down that he was a former insurance salesman. But then some reporters did some digging and they found that there was actually no evidence that he had ever been licensed to do that. Cue a round of teasing. The Resistance. So a while ago, Maclean's magazine, which is the big Canadian political magazine up here, did a cover featuring a bunch of conservative politicians all standing together looking ominous, and the title was The Resistance. Welcome to Justin Trudeau's worst nightmare. And since these guys were all just lame-looking middle-aged men, folks on the left had a lot of fun making parodies of it. Conservative, liberal, green. So this is very clearly an NDP meme. So the NDP is very self-righteous about being the most left-wing party in the entire country. And as part of believing this, they thus portray literally every other party in Canada as being right-wing and basically interchangeable. With the Liberals and the Conservatives, you can be like, fine, okay, maybe, but portraying the Green Party like this is really a stretch. According to the CBC's Political Compass, the Greens and the NDP are basically the same ideologically. In fact, the Greens are slightly to the left of the NDP. But within NDP world, it is generally taken for granted that the Greens are actually crypto-conservatives of some sort. I don't even think this meme is accurate in terms of how the Greens are marketing themselves. I mean, it's the NDP that's led by this very aggressive hipster dude bro, while the Greens are led by a 65-year-old cat lady. And speaking of the 65-year-old cat lady, check this out. So this is Elizabeth May, the head of the Green Party, and she had a bizarre scandal a few weeks ago in which it was revealed, dun dun dun, that she had once held a paper cup. Well, actually the scandal was that she had been photographed holding a paper cup, and then the Green Party had photoshopped it out of her hands and replaced it with a reusable cup so that she would look more environmentally conscious when they posted that picture on their website. Now, why the Greens just had to use this very specific photo, I don't know, but the party had initially denied that they had photoshopped it, so when the press found the original untouched photo, it was this big embarrassment. Now, the second level joke here is that May is holding a bottle of NyQuil, which is a throwback to a very infamous episode she had where she was rambling drunk on stage at the press gallery dinner and had to be hauled off. Except she denied that she had been drunk and said it was just NyQuil, so now that's something inseparably tied to her forever. And speaking of the hipster dude bro, don't say you love the anime if you haven't read the manga. So here's good old Jagmeet Singh, the head of the NDP, and beside him is a guy called Tommy Douglas. He was head of the NDP in the 1960s and is this very sentimentalized figure on the Canadian left, associated with the creation of the Canadian healthcare system. Although he also had some weird views on gay people, which I'm surprised haven't gotten him cancelled yet.
It's a mental illness, it's a psychiatric condition, which ought to be treated sympathetically, which ought to be treated by psychiatrists and social workers.
All right, here's another NDP meme. Any criticism of Trudeau? Liberals. Is this voting for Scheer? The idea here would be that the Liberal Party has this very binary understanding of Canadian politics, where you're either voting for Trudeau or you're voting for the Conservatives in some form or another, either directly or by throwing your vote away on some minor left-wing party that is only going to split the progressive vote and help the Conservatives win. So of course NDP people like to push against this and argue that it is entirely possible to oppose Trudeau's Liberals without also favouring Scheer. Although, in all honesty, Conservative victories in Canada do tend to correlate pretty tightly with a strong NDP showing. PPC starter pack. Twitter, lost leadership vote. Starting a political party for dummies. This is a rare meme making fun of Maxime Bernier and his People's Party. I say rare only because the majority of memes about Maxime Bernier tend to be these very unironic ones praising him as this great man, which we will get to in a sec. But the joke here is that Bernier's new party isn't really motivated by all that much, other than that he likes using Twitter, and he is still bitter over losing the Conservative leadership race to Andrew Scheer. Among Bernier's critics, it is very popular to present him as this very shallow, opportunistic guy who is constantly reinventing himself in order to get attention. But meanwhile, Bernier also has this tremendous fan base online who I must say are going to be very disappointed on election day because the polls say he is not doing well. But anyway, they make a lot of memes like this where Bernier is portrayed as this very inspiring, heroic character. I'm Maxime Bernier, and I'm here to rescue you. Analogies to Mad Max Fury Road are particularly popular. Yet despite their abundance of confidence, the Bernier people also seem prone to making a fair number of memes expressing a sort of NDP-style insecurity over being accused of vote splitting. How to recognize a stroke. Twisted mouth, arm paralysis, incoherent speech. A vote for Max is a vote for Justin Trudeau. Bernier was also associated with one of the most iconic images of the campaign, these giant billboards that read, "Say no to mass immigration." These were the source of much mockery. Say no to Ass Man. This Quebec comedian named Sugar Sammy even made ones of his own to advertise his cross-Canada tour. And then of course you've got your generic Canadian political memes. Power to the people. Ugh, this is a reference to a truly god-awful Canadian children's puppet show called Nanalan. No, we won't even get into this. So, I hear you're from Canada. Please tell us more about boring Canadian politics. Well, that's just not funny. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this first episode of JJ Condescendingly Explains Political Memes to You. The big Canadian election is now just over a week away, and I have decided that on the big day itself, October 21st, I am going to do a special election night live stream, so be sure to tune into that. But until then, I will see you all next week.